let me see. Okay, listening, writing. I use a lot of short form, so if you don't understand, just let me know. And I use a lot of pictures because students discover they can remember better when I do that. Okay. Right. 4 papers, listening, reading, writing, in that order. There's no break in between. If you need to go to the toilet, it's your time. Right. And they discourage people from going to the toilet because they're afraid when you arrive in the toilet you might pull out a piece of paper or something. And you will notice that I've drawn 2 lines here. It's because it's on another day, usually, unless you are a working adult and you apply to be tested on the same day. So it's case by case. Usually it's on a Saturday. Sometimes it will be on a Monday. So working adults prefer it to be on Saturday, so they give priority to working adults. Usually for younger people, they will just encourage you to go on Monday or sometimes even Tuesday. Okay, now this one, there's no break, so it's quite tedious because this one will take you 20 minutes, sorry. Yes, 20 minutes plus 10 minutes. So there will be half an hour. And this one will take you 60 minutes. And writing will be 60 minutes as well. So I'll break it down for you. 40 minutes plus 20 minutes. So this will be a total of 60 minutes. Okay. Right. Now, the reason that there's 20 minutes here, sometimes it can run longer, is because this is the part where you're listening to the cassette or the tape or the CD or whatever. And the 10 minutes is actually for you to write down your answers. But of course, usually the students will just write down when they are listening. So, but they still give you 10 minutes to check your answers. For example.
Repeat twice or?
No.
It's only played once.
Yeah, it's only once. Play once.
And the question is asked concurrently. Or you go through the list.
Sorry, I didn't catch
it. They go through a passage. They read through and then they will ask the questions together.
Okay, it goes this way. This is the answer booklet. Okay, answer booklet, and this is the question booklet. So the question booklet. Okay. And you have about 40 questions, short answers, maximum 3 words. I've not seen 4 words, but sometimes the assessment books that you buy, sometimes they would have 4 words maximum. But in the real exam, I haven't seen 4 words, so it's 3 words. Like, they will ask you to fill out a blank, like, what did she see? She saw 2 grey vans, like this, 2 grey vans. But if you write 2 large grey vans, you get 0. The instructions will tell you very clearly. They will highlight 3 words maximum. So you can write 1, 2, or 3, but not 4.
It's MCQ, right?
Not really. Some MCQs and some fill in the blanks.
Okay.
So yeah. So as you can see, there are 40 questions, but they will break it down. There are 4 sections. Section 1, 2, 3, and 4. These 2 sections are about social life. The IELTS is designed for students going overseas to live and to study, and sometimes for people to work. So these 2 sections focus on your social skills, and these 2 sections focus on your study skills. So these 2 are social context, okay, and these 2 academic. Alright, so this first section, there are usually 2 or 3 people talking. The usual topics are like renting a house, okay, shopping, okay, discussing movies, and other social contexts like a club, okay. And the second one is only one person, This one is, for example, news, announcement. The third section, as you can see, is academic. So the third section is also 2 or 3 people talking, sometimes up to 4. So it's quite scary for students who are not prepared because you've got female voices, you've got 2 female voices or 3 female voices. Sometimes, of course, male voices as well. For example, this one they will be discussing exams, okay, school activities, CCA, and sometimes even like donation drive, anything to do with school. And the last one is one person. This one, 99% is a university lecture. 99%. Okay, so it's quite. This is feedback from the students. The most difficult parts are 2 and 4 because you don't get 2 people conversing. There's no pause in between. So the person just continues talking, and you need to catch that information, otherwise it'll just be gone like that. Well, the comforting thing about this section is the tape will actually tell you, now you have 1 or 2 minutes to read question 1 to question 6. Okay? So
there's a chance for you to read the questions first.
You must read the
look up
yes.
for the answers along the way.
I will put a star in every section so that you know that's the most important thing the students must do. All these things you can know it inside out, but if you don't know how to do this, you will not pass the exam. Okay? You must read questions before listening. Okay? So the tape will actually tell you, okay, now you have 1 minute to listen. To read question 17 to 21. So you just read 17 to 21, according to what they tell you. Okay. So I'll just write down here according to the taped instructions. All right.
Who control the tempo of the test? Is each candidate wearing his own headphone and press play, or some?
No. It's
An examination
across the board for everyone. Yeah, some exam centers in different countries, you will have a PA system. Singapore is PA system. You don't put on the headphone. Yeah. So some students have complained to me. They sit at the back and there's echo. So there's feedback to the UCLES, and they're trying to improve on this. Some students don't like that thing. They prefer the PA system. So it depends.
Because in China, a lot of them actually use.
Yes, you can't control the tempo. It runs, and once you miss 5 seconds, you're off. Yeah, then you lose the confidence because there's one chunk that you didn't do, and then you feel that there's no point for me to do because I'm going to fail it. So you have to keep track of every question. So you might leave 1 or 2 questions and come back to it later. Right, so the students are actually frantically scribbling away into the question booklet. They don't care, they will not collect this, they will just destroy this, but this is the one that they will collect, this thing.
So there's 40 questions, meaning it's going to be like 10, 10, 10, 10.
No, it's band 1, actually band 0 if you don't turn up, to band 9, which is perfect score. Band 9 is perfect score. So there is a scale from if you score like 1 to 5 questions, you get band 1. Yeah, I can't give you the score because sometimes they have 41 questions and sometimes they have 39 questions.
Which means it's like on average they have like 36 out of 40 correct.
If you get 38 correct, then you can get band 8. You need to get about 36 or 35 to get a band 7. So I can show you the scale later.
Okay.
But different books will have different scales, and now the listening test has half a band score. So they broke it down further. So now all the 4 papers have half a band score. So this, you can get 5.5 for this, 6.5 for this, or 7 for this, something like this. So there's also a scale, and the scale is not fixed. It depends on that session.
How does is the weightage of this section 1, 2, 3? No, you're saying there's only two, section 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Each of the sections is worth 10 marks. 10, or there are 10 questions or for each sections?
Basically, it's 10, 10, 10, 10, 40 questions. Yeah, so basically it's like that.
Do you have like reference for us? You like CDs that can?
Yes, I have. It's all in the suitcase, so I will show them to you later.
Okay.
If not, actually, once you try it, the best thing is for you to sit down and try the test yourself. Just put the CD in, then you do it. Then you will have the hands-on experience. Because if I explain this 10 times to you, you wouldn't know.
Yes.
You have to go through it yourself.
Okay.
Then you will, know it inside out. Yeah. So So the star, this is the one that students must remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Alright. If there's something else, I'll come back later. Okay. The reading, there are 3 sections, so I will just draw this way. I think it's easier for you to see. Passage 1, 700 words approximately. So same. Okay, and this one is about 1,000 words. Usually, this one will be the easiest one, and then getting difficult, and this is the most difficult one. There are also 40 questions. Okay, so there could be 13 questions, and 14 questions, like that. Usually, it's like this, or it could be 14, 13, 13. Yeah, but that's not really that important. For students, adult students, okay, it depends on what profession they're in. If their profession is engineering, so if this is engineering, then they will find that this section is not that difficult. Yeah, all these, okay, are, how shall I say, factual articles. They're all factual articles. Science, technology, medicine, okay, there's no story, no descriptive, no narrative. So all are factual. So factual. And students find them quite difficult. In fact, when I'm teaching, this is the most difficult to teach because you need to tell the students why that's the answer, and they're quite tricky. They are trickier than O-level questions. Yeah.
You have 3 comprehension passages.
Yes.
And then 13 questions that is handwritten, no MCQ.
No, sorry. It's not like the O-level where you need to write complete sentences. This one, same thing, 3 words maximum.
Oh,
3 words, fill in the blanks, 3 words max, fill in the blanks, and MCQ. So this one I should write down is same thing, MCQ plus blanks. Right, so there's there are pros and cons. You don't need to worry about your grammar in these 2 sections, but you do have to be very fast. The problem with this one is students, they don't practice enough listening, and because it's IELTS International English, you can get Section 1 Australian English, Section 2 Scottish English, Section 3 American, and Section 4 could be Irish, English, anything, South African, anything. Yeah, so they want you to get used to the different accents because you might be going to any of these countries. So students have to do a lot of practice for this one, and they have to watch actually I would recommend the students to watch 1 movie every day for 6 months in order to be able to get a 6 for this one.
6 only.
For Singaporean students, no problem. They don't have to do that to get a 7 because they've been doing that their whole lives. But for other foreigners, they have to.
Is there a special series or TV series or whatever that you recommend?
No, I wouldn't especially recommend 1 or 2. I would say watch everything. You can watch Oprah Winfrey talk show. You could watch Nigella Lawson cooking. Any TV series, comedy, Friends. That's fine. Yeah. So as long as they get exposed to that. Yeah, and it's not a kind of a specially made for foreigner, English program where they speak very slowly. No, you can't do that because they speak at the real speed, real life speed. And the students complain they couldn't catch the words because, it's like all the words are jumbled up together to them. So I tell them, if you find the words are jumbled up, it's because you haven't listened to enough English. So you need to be able to catch that thing just like that, and the different accents as well. Yeah, very often they have Scottish, Irish accents where they roll the R's and the other sounds.
So a good gauge will be British sitcom.
I would advise the students to listen to the BBC every day, because BBC has interviews with different kinds of accents as well. So once they get used to the BBC, they could get used to this.
Because I'm looking from point of view, if I watch a sitcom that has subtitles or TV series, British TV series with subtitles, they can listen and they can read.
Most of the schools that I've taught in, they have pre-IELTS and IELTS. So for the pre-IELTS, it's okay if you have subtitles, but for IELTS, especially students who need to get higher than 6.5, then you shouldn't actually be relying on the subtitles. So the pre-IELTS is very useful for them. They get used to it first. Yeah. So the most ambitious plan that I've seen is actually 3 months pre-IELTS, 3 months IELTS, which is really too short a time for me to prepare the students. Pre-IELTS should be 3 months and IELTS should be 6 months. Something like that. Yeah. The
9 months of full time.
Yeah, for non-working adults. It's because usually the students are from other Asian countries and they don't speak English once they leave the classroom. But for working adults in Singapore, they usually will have to use English. So part-time would be okay for them.
Twice a week.
I did twice a week, but if it's 3 times, it would be great.
3 times or 2 hours? 3 hours.
3 times or 3 hours, unless the students are very hardworking. 3 times would be ideal. If the students are very, very hardworking, then maybe twice. Yeah, they do all their homework, and when you ask them to do correction, they actually do it for you. Yeah, because the correction is the most crucial.
At least twice a week for 9 months.
3 IELTS.
No, I should qualify what I just said. It depends on what score the student needs, because some students just need 6. Some students need 7 or even higher. So depends on what you need and your standard.
Okay, for someone with absolutely zero knowledge of English to reach a 5, how long do you guys think?
Zero knowledge.
He can only say hi, bye.
Probably
Okay.
ABC or.
If it's full time, I would say maybe 2 years.
To reach a 5.
Maybe 2 years. But if he's very hardworking, he's very enthusiastic, 1 year. Because 5 is, I tell you who will get 5. My students from China, they come in, okay, they can speak a little bit of English, like I want to go to the toilet, I'm hungry, things like that. And they don't really prepare that well. After 6 months, they can get a 5.5. Because you say zero knowledge, so I'm worried, because you need to teach from scratch, like 1 child, 2 children, they don't even remember how to spell children then.
Because we currently have such a student, almost zero knowledge.
Okay.
I'm not sure which band will he be. He's called Sun Qi, not sure if you heard.
What you can do is to give him a trial exam for the listening test, because listening test and reading, because all these are multiple choice you can mark. Then after marking, you'll be able to gauge what standard he's in. Yeah. For the writing, you need to get an experienced teacher to mark the essay and the report. That would be the best thing to do. And the speaking also, it's subjective. But for these 2, you can gauge. Yeah. So I will give you a lot of materials. Most of them are photocopied. I've lost my original books. Students borrow and return to me.
But for trial exams, if there's such a service, I'd rather say, okay, I subscribe to this service. Every exam I just pay a fee.
Yeah.
do a practice exam, listening
And
and
assessment
Yeah,
platforms.
that's what you asked me before.
Yes.
As I've said, I don't know of any such service, and I'm not sure whether UCLES will grant such a service.
it's most likely maybe developed by Cambridge or developed by Oxford.
It's for internal escape.
It's for practice for the students.
Yeah, that's what I said. UCLES, University of Cambridge. I don't know whether they will license out or whether there is a license issue. Because if you advertise, IELTS, then the copyright issue will come in. You know what I mean? Yeah, they are the only copyright holder. So, but if you don't advertise IELTS, nobody knows that it's IELTS. If you want to offer such a service, but internally, so that's external, right? So, no, I'm not aware of any such service. I think there is a license issue. Yeah, unless Stalford is interested. Yeah, so.
There are companies out there
Mm.
that they do assessment gauge more like proficiency tests for students as a job.
For IELTS.
No, for general
Mm.
ability.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not sure whether it's actually equal to IELTS grading system.
See, with IELTS,
Mm.
I mean, I digress a little break. Not the one to break momentum. There's IELTS developed or jointly developed by Cambridge and I'm not sure who else. And then Cambridge also have their own English
CET,
yes
Yes.
certification.
Yes. Well, it's because actually CET is more difficult than IELTS. More detailed, more difficult. The IELTS is actually catered to people who want to gain entry into English-speaking countries. Basically, that's why immigration and universities require it. Whereas CET is actually an FCE and all that, they're actually for personal growth. If you want to show your boss that, I've got this cert, or you want to apply for a job, something like this. So they've streamlined all these exams into IELTS, I would say. So, and IELTS is much more condensed. It's much more concise. So you do it within one day, and you've got your results. Yeah, and it's not so detailed. They don't care about your grammar. They don't ask you about grammar. From your writing, paper, they will be able to tell your grammar. Yeah. So, for example, here, even the listening test, you can write RD for road, AVE for avenue. You don't really need to write avenue because they know you're short of time. You can write USA, but for O-level, if you write USA, marks will be deducted because you have to write United States of America, bracket USA, and then. But for IELTS, no, you can write UFO, you can write UK, they don't care. They know that what they are looking for is the fluency and the ability to express, to elaborate. Yeah, they don't, nitpick over your abbreviations and things. So,
Okay.
right.
Carry on, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think any questions concerning this?
The best way is to take test myself.
Yeah, right. Okay, so this is the most difficult to teach because once you're teaching, students are usually over ambitious. So every line there are 2 or 3 words which they've never seen. So the teachers have a hard time to explain. But surprisingly, students usually do well for this. Yeah, the one that they don't do well is this one.
Listening.
Yeah.
I thought it should be writing.
Actually, this is the worst of all. Yeah, every time the performance this is the worst of all. So okay, the writing, there are 2 sections. The first one is essay. Okay, as you can see, 40 minutes and 20 minutes for report. Yeah, I have to actually highlight to you there are 2 kinds of IELTS. There's academic and there's general training. So usually for students, it's academic. Yeah. So for general training, this will be a letter. So would you like me to go through that as well, or? Okay, I'll just explain this one first so you get an idea. Alright, the essay you need to write minimum 250 words, and the report you need to write minimum 150 words, which are really short. Okay, so this one is 1.5 page of the A4 paper, right? And the foolscap paper is just 1 page. Yeah, this one is just 3/4 page. As you can see, 150 words. So the report is based on a graph. Based on a graph or chart. Okay, and sometimes flow chart, or sometimes table, sometimes even a map. So you have to, of course, the most difficult is the map and table for students. Graph, you can see the highest, lowest, bar graph, line graph, pie chart, things like that. So for students, these are the most difficult. And you need to be able to summarize the gist. And you need to be able to identify some unusual features. Unusual or interesting features. And to be fair to the students, most of the charts are based on facts. Population, it's not fictional. So they'll take from some scientific books and journals and reports, and they will say, okay, now you look at the population growth of Australia, for example, and when you double check, it's actually facts. Now, to be fair to the students, right? Okay, so by the time the students have done this and this and this, and when they arrive here, they'll be dead tired. They'll be very stressed out.
No interval. There should be a short interval.
No, they'll just tell you, okay, stop writing, put your pencil down, and they mean business. Once they say stop writing, put your pencil down now, and you still continue to write, they'll take your paper away. Yeah, so you put your paper down, and then they'll collect the papers, and then they'll give you this one. Right, you can run to the toilet, but when you come back, you're short of 10 minutes. Yeah, so this one, for the average students, actually is not just 60 minutes. I think the students will require 75 minutes. Every paper, I think students will require 15 minutes more to be able to do well. So you can see how short the time they have. So they are under a lot of pressure. And students come back, many students tell me, I was not able to finish the whole paper. So this one, they probably answered like 40 questions. They probably say, I left 10 questions blank. Yeah, this one also, same thing, because you just can't finish. You see 20 minutes. How are you going to finish a 1,000 word article within 20 minutes and answer the question? There's no extra time here. There's extra time 10 minutes for you to write down the answers. There's no extra time here. So this is the same. There is a answer booklet. So they will collect this one. The question booklet will be destroyed. So they will just collect this one and this one. So you can scribble whatever you want to scribble here. That's fine. Yeah, this one must be tidy. Yeah. And students sometimes they make a mistake. They leave one, and then they fill up question 3 in question 2, and then the whole thing is wrong, and you will get 0. Okay, so that's the thing to tell the students. So essay is only argumentative, discursive, no narrative, nothing else. So it's like this. Usually they'll ask, do you agree? What do you think of this statement? Do you think rich countries should help the poor countries? Things like that. So importantly, read newspapers, and you must have general knowledge. As I told many students before, this is not an English exam, it's a knowledge exam. If you have no knowledge, you go for this exam. I mean, how are you going to write? They'll give you a question like, Fukushima has experienced nuclear fallout. What do you think the government should do? Then if you have no knowledge, no matter how good your English is, you're finished. So you have to know. Right. So there are some topics that are common to these two. Okay, so science, science and technology, law and politics. Then you have society and population. Then you have finance. So you can see all these things are from the newspaper, right? And others. Environment, finance and economy, environment, things like that. So there are about 10 topics that are usually asked. I rarely see any questions outside of these 10, so it's not really that scary to prepare. But as you can see, they are looking for maturity and knowledge in the students, not just English. Because it's designed specifically for students, going for tertiary education and people who are looking to work overseas. So they don't really care about your grammar, whether it's whom or who. Yeah.
Do you have like a range of questions to select from? Or like you have 5 questions to
No.
select from?
No.
They just fix the topic and you have to be...
Yes, only one topic given. It's not like O level you got 5 and A level you got 12.
You cannot just pick, right?
Yeah, so that's why I say to you, if they give you a question like nuclear fallout, you have no idea, zero knowledge of what nuclear fallout, is, then you're finished. Then this section, you're finished. Right. So, so as you can see, this one is 40 minutes. This is 20 minutes. This one is more important than this one. So this one will carry about 75%. This one will carry about 25% of the marks.
I've done reports before, and I realized that there's a lot of skills. There's a lot of skills, and there are a lot of technical jargon you can remember in advance.
Yes.
On how to describe,
Yes.
and you can just put it in.
Yes. That's the joy of teaching this one, because usually Asian students are very good at groups of words. So you tell them like decrease, diminish, decline, dwindle. Okay, just remember all these D words, and they can do quite well if they are well trained. And increase, rise, you have accelerate and things like that. So students, for the report, students usually find that it's not so difficult because they look at the graph and they are able to pick out some interesting features. Right, so I'm not so worried about this, I'm more worried about this. Especially full-time students, they are not interested in politics or environment or whatever. So, and the speaking test, there are 3 sections. This one is the scariest because you get an examiner, usually a Western person, sitting there looking at you, alright, and you need to do this. So it's about 14 minutes. But students describe this 14 minutes as like 14 months. Because once you go in, it's the shortest of all, but it's the scariest of all. So you've got 5 minutes, introduction. And then you've got 1 plus 3 minutes. We call a long turn. And 5 minutes for the discussion. Okay, they will actually have a few cards and they will choose one. Okay, they will choose one card and they will give the card to you for this one. This introduction is quite standard. It's about yourself. Introduce yourself. Family, tell me about your parents, tell me about your primary school, describe your home, and what are your ambitions. So why are you taking this exam? So I don't see how students can fail that, and they do. They do. They can't even describe their own grandparents. They will just say, I've never seen I don't know anything about my grandparents. Okay, that's fine. But they can't describe their primary school. They say, oh, there are many classrooms. That's all. So I tell them that you have to describe something like, it's not a very famous school. It's not a very big school. There are only about 20 teachers and about maybe 200 students. but it was a lovely place, you know, and I've learned a lot of, I've gained a lot of upbringing from the teachers and things like that. So then the examiner will actually stop you, and nowadays examiners tend to jump around. When they see that you can describe something fluently, they will stop you and they will jump to another topic about yourself also. They could ask you, describe your hometown, you know, describe the industries in your hometown. What do people do for recreation? Things like that. And then if you can describe that very well as well, it will stop you and jump to another. They want to see whether you memorize the answers or whether it's your true standard. And then they will stop you and say, okay, that's the end of section 1, and now come to the long term. Okay, this one you have 1 minute to prepare. So they'll give you a pencil and a paper, and then they'll give you a card. Okay, so paper, and then they'll give you a card. So there's a question on the card. It's also not difficult. It's usually to do with yourself. Also, describe the best gathering that you had with your schoolmates. Something like this. What's the best present that you ever received, or what's the best present you ever gave to another person? Describe a holiday that you went on that was disastrous. Describe a wonderful holiday, or describe a holiday you would like to have. Something like this. So it's easy, I think. Yeah, but students can fail also. Yeah, you ask them what's your favorite movie, they look at you and say, I don't have any favorite movie. So I tell them, just bullshit, just anything, just say something, you know, so the examiner can listen to your English. They don't really care whether it's true. Yeah, so 3 minutes to talk. It's called long term. Examiner will just keep quiet, and it's quite scary because students, they don't get enough practice speaking for extended period. So after about maybe 10 seconds, then they stop. And then once you stop for more than 5 seconds, you can hardly get a 6. So you have to be able to control, you know, the consistency of what you're saying. So I usually...
Sorry, it's 1 minute of planning, 3 minutes of talking.
Yeah, but in fact, it's just 1 minute of talking. Yeah, because it's up to the examiner's discretion to actually say, okay, that's fine, go to the next section. Yeah, they say 3 minutes. Actually, most of the students, I ask them to time, and they say that it's just 1 minute. So it's not really that scary. So I tell them, you know, if you can just don't stop talking for 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, it should be okay for you. So, right, I usually tell the students, if you find that you have nothing more to say, just say, for example, and then you describe the example. Then that will take you 5 minutes, you know? Yeah, so, and students find it very useful. Once they start giving an example, then they find that, okay, I can elaborate, something like this. So this one you can give example, if you can. Yeah, so they might ask you to describe something like, okay, let's take the holiday destination. Which holiday destination and why you would like to go there, right? So you give example, I would like to go to Paris because it's very beautiful, and then you can say, for example, I like to go to the Louvre Museum. I want to look at Mona Lisa because I've heard about it. I said, well, if you can speak this way for 1 minute, you get 6.5, maybe 7. Right? Okay, 5 minutes. Because the examiner does not say anything here, right? And they can't say anything. They can't ask you any question. You're supposed to use up this time to speak alone. The examiner will actually ask you questions here. So the third section, they will say, just now you mentioned you like to see Mona Lisa. Do you know anything about the artist? Do you like art? What kind of art do you like? What about, and then the second question will not be pertaining to this one directly. They will just develop from there. Anything under the sun. Yeah, but the first question should be based on this one. So if they see that you can answer quite well, they will jump around. If you can't answer well, then they will just look at you and give you the chance to finish saying what you want to say, and by that time you already know you can't pass it. Yeah, if there's a lot of pauses in between. So so you can see it's only 14 minutes maximum. Usually students will come out after 10 minutes.
Discussion is just from like how you answer, you just ask. It's not linked to the first and second part at all.
No. For example, the Mona Lisa example that I gave to you, yeah. So they can even ask you like, do you smile? Do you have friends who don't smile? What do you think about, your mood? Do you think it will affect your health? They can develop any direction. So they can develop into any direction which they feel that they might want to test your true standard. Right. And if students are not familiar with something, they should just tell the examiner honestly, like, I'm not very familiar with sports. I'm not a sports fan, so... And then the examiner says, okay, that's fine, let me ask you another thing. So they will actually give... But if you start saying that 3 or 4 times, I'm not interested in art, I'm not interested in politics, then they are beginning to think that this is not someone that we would like to come to our country, something like this. So it's quite a political exam, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, and the appeal system, maybe to end this, the appeal system, if you find that the score that you've got is too low, you can appeal. You need to pay about Singapore dollars, $200. And surprisingly, about maybe 5% of the students, I heard from the British Council, 5% of students appeal successfully. If you let's say if you get band 6 the first time, and you feel that you should have got 7, you appeal, and the second time you get band 7, after the appeal you are awarded band 7, then you get your money back, your appeal money, the appeal fee, and you also get band 7. But if the appeal comes out with band 5, you can keep your 6. So you're safe, but your money is gone.
But do they record down all this?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to say that. This one, they will put an MP3 in front of you to record the whole thing. They will actually say, this is so-and-so examiner, so-and-so examiner's number, and then the candidate's name is this one, the passport number is this one. So the chief examiner in the UK will actually take out the recording if you appeal, and he will listen to the whole thing without knowledge of your original score. So they will give the second score, and then they will compare.
That is very fair.
Yeah, it's $200. So students usually feel, let me do the whole thing again. Yeah, because they might want to study another 3 months, and then they go back and take the exam again. And previously the UCLES, what they have stated was every half a band score is 3 months full-time study.
Half a band score.
Half a band. So if you get 6 and you want to get 6.5, you need to go back and study 3 months. So previously they did not allow students to retake the exam within 3 months. Then a lot of people complained, and then finally they said, okay, you can take the next week if you pay up. And the reason they gave was that you cannot take the exam within the 3 months was because you need 3 months to study before you can improve half a band score. But a lot of people complain and say, I wasn't feeling well that day, or I was stupid that day, or I was in a bad mood that day. You can't tell me that. So finally they changed the rule.
Is it true that it takes 3 months to clear half a band?
I think if you work very hard, maybe 1 month.
1 month.
Full time, 1 month. Part time, maybe 3 months.
Which means that if I were to continue full time for 3 months, I can jump 1.5 band.
Half a band, you mean?
Yeah.
No, 3 months full time.
3 months full time. Oh, okay. By my estimate, unlikely.
I think it's easy to jump 2 bands if you are from the lower bands.
Yes. Yes. They are very reluctant to award 7.
But a lot of uni requirements is
Yes.
7.
7.
Yes.
So you need 3 months to jump from 6 to 7.
Mm.
Oh.
But a lot of Singaporean students, after 3 months part-time study, they should be able to get higher than 7.
But that's normal examination skills.
And it's more difficult to score if you are doing the exam in an Asian country. If you do it in UK or US, it's not surprising that students get even band 7 or 8, even 9. Because that's why I felt that it's because you're already there. They don't have the mentality of stopping you from coming over. You're already there. So they just give it to you willingly. Whereas when you're still in Asia, they have this mindset that, oh, you want to come to our country? Okay, you have to pay for it. Yeah, and not in terms of money. Something like this. And I think Australia is the worst of all. Even a lot of people have got 7. In every sub-score, okay, employers still complain to the immigration that the English is very poor. Yeah, but I've not heard of such complaints from US or UK, only Australia. So I think it's something to do with jealousy. It's not something to do with the English standard. Or maybe we're not speaking Australian English. I don't know. Yeah. So okay. So basically, that's the breakdown of the IELTS exam.
You have a lesson at 2.
I'll
Yes.
probably disturb you after the A-level class.
Okay. So yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.